Welcome to Talks About the Future, organized by the Alumni Association in partnership with the WorldLINK Foundation, live streaming on Facebook through the Alumni Association platform. It is the 19th of December, 2020. We have prepared an insightful conversation with an international group of award-winning and dedicated educators for this International Education Week. Our topic today, Rising to the 2020 Challenge. Educational leaders collaborate to innovate. Ordinarily, we use 2020 as a measure of how clear our vision is. However, the year 2020 has overturned traditional ways of seeing and customary ways of teaching and learning. This year has challenged educators to find new ways to provide quality education. My name is Allison Bailey. I am an English educator and global education leader at Wayne Community College, an educational programs and projects director with the WorldLINK Foundation, Poland. Let's meet our distinguished panelists. Theo de Souza, principal of Navrachana International School, India. Aditi Misra, director, principal at Delhi Public School in Gurgaon, India. Patrick Kozakiewicz, IBM Agile thought leader, mindfulness program coach, and design thinking coach in both Poland and the USA. And Anna Krzemińska-Kaczyńska, founder and CEO, WorldLINK Foundation, Poland. And last but not least, Hudson Thomas, principal of Pompano Beach High School, USA. We are so happy and grateful that you have offered your experience to educators around the world. You are both experts in your field and representatives of your students, your teachers, and your communities. Today, we will host this as a discussion where you can build upon each other's ideas and make connections between them. Let's start by having you describe the formats in which you deliver instruction. Mr. De Souza, would you start us out?
I missed, sorry, Alison, I missed your question. Can you come again?
Yes, my question is, what formats do you deliver instruction?
Yeah, okay. When we talk about formats, I would like to refer to, of course, the digital platforms that we use, that everyone is using. But besides that, the formats that we have got used to over a period of time are the asynchronous and the synchronous formats or the approaches to teaching and learning. I think that has helped in a great deal to make the virtual classroom, online teaching more effective, and to ensure that there is children are able to assimilate things at their own space and time. So this has been by and large our experience with using digital platforms like Google, for Google Classroom, Google Meet, Zoom, the Zoom platform, and a host of other applications like Padlet, Flipgrid, and the like. So these are the formats that we have been using, since the start of the pandemic, and it has been of great use. And along the way, teachers are learning a lot of new techniques and ways of actually managing the teaching learning process, and new things are coming in. In fact, we even started using our terminal. We have what we call a term and exam. So we even use, exam.net and test portal to be able to actually manage an exam situation under proctoring and supervision and surveillance. So this, in short, is what we are doing in terms of the formats that we are using.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Ms. Misra?
Thank you for the question, Alison. Like Mr. De Souza, I think we also moved into the digital platforms like Zoom, Google Meet, and we also added Microsoft Teams to our basket, because somehow I was a little worried because we've not been using technology so much in regular teaching. So I was a little worried that supposing there's a snag in any one platform, suppose there's a breakdown of some kind, so we should have the teachers trained in all three kinds of platforms, so that should something go wrong, we can always fall back on the other. Mm-hmm. We've also added a lot of our own in-house stuff. We've got children making podcasts, children making small videos. on certain themes which are universal, which go across from age 5+ to 18+, and these are shared with the children to be seen after school hours, which are you're creating artistic works for the teaching as part of pedagogy. So this is what we did, which was different from the regular classroom teaching which was in place before the pandemic came.
Yes. And I think that we should probably finish out with Mr. Thomas and then move to our more unconventional forms of instruction with Patrick and Anna. So Mr. Thomas, how is it that you're delivering instruction?
Thank you, Allison. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to Anna for inviting me to this great group of people. So in Florida, and then we are in Broward County, which is right there on the beach, just so you know. And we use a system. It's a learning management system. It's called Canvas, and in it, it has all sorts of programs that teachers have been using. So as soon as the pandemic hit our area, we're able to switch, like everyone else has been saying, to a digital format using Microsoft Teams. We only use Teams for the video part of it. A learning management system drives everything else. So Canvas includes pretty much everything that a teacher needs. You can do assignments in it, create rubrics, discussions, assessments, grades, modules, and you can create forms. You can have surveys. So it includes a plethora of systems for teachers to use. It's a great tool also for communication with parents because they can have access to it. And we also use it for school-wide communication. So if I want to have some information to the entire school, I can go on our system and every student will get the information from me or from anyone else. So it is a very good tool. Having said that, Team is a great part of that. We have Office 365, and which has itself tons of tools as well. So we use all of that to leverage the education since the pandemic.
Was this, and this is question I think is for any of the three of you, were these systems already in place in part or in whole, or did you have to create them during the pandemic?
So I'll start with this one. So our county invested on this learning management system quite a few years ago. Our school engaged in it very early. I want to say 99% of our teachers were knowledgeable in Canvas. So it was an easy switch to the online part, which was really Teams for the video portion of it. So they had been using the learning management system on a daily basis. So it was pretty easy to switch to an online system without having too much difficulties.
Good, good. How about for our Indian principals? Miss Misra,
Sorry.
Okay.
So we use technology within the classroom. We have smart boards, we have videos being played, but we've not really used technology as a means to teach with the children sitting at home. It's not happened before. And obviously it came as a surprise to us when the lockdown was declared early in March. But most schools, I think we realized what the writing on the wall, and we realized the first thing we have to do is empower our teachers, train our teachers to start teaching online so that classes can go on, children don't miss out on academics, and teachers don't feel lost, because it's not fair to expect teachers to deliver lessons without getting proper training. So we had about 4 days before the lockdown came into effect, where in physical classes we quickly trained the teachers. We got them all to bring their devices to school. Luckily, students were not coming then because the end of the year exams had been held already, and the teachers were there, and swift trainings were done, and quick sort of sample classes were done, some demos were done, so that nobody felt lost, nobody felt that we don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Having said that, for the first week, we realized that we know less than our students. And we kept turning to them that now we are stuck. We don't know what we've done. Like just now what I did before this session started. Instead of moving out of the chat room, I moved out of the entire frame. So we are not comfortable. I mean, we are digital dinosaurs. I admit it. And the children are digital natives. They've grown up. They've been born to technology. So we saw nothing wrong with asking the children for help if we suddenly found ourselves out of the class and the children inside. So, or suddenly the screen would go blank. I'm presenting something to them and the screen has gone blank, and I say, I don't know what I've done. So those little trainings, those little, they became fun sessions also, because when a child teaches his teacher, it's a different kind of a feeling for both. So we have not been using, to be honest, but now I can say with pride, I think hats off to teachers across the globe for taking charge and for getting used to the new normal and being relevant to their children even now. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that sentiment. I think everyone here is here because they are proud of the people that they work with. And all of you have been in the education sphere in some way, really working to keep this going during a very difficult time, keeping people's spirits up. And I think it might be a good time to turn to Patrick and Anna, who are instructing in different ways, but still supporting and uplifting mental health or maybe professional development of teachers. And I'll give you a moment to speak. Patrick, I think your sound is on, Patrick.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, he's giving it to Anna. There we go.
So first of all, I would like to say hello from Krakow, and I would like to send regards to all schools, and also, I have a pleasure to visit the schools, to be a part of extracurriculum activities. So that's really, really amazing that we can meet actually on Global Education Week 2020. And this year we are celebrating this under the name, It's Our World, Let's Take Action. And I can actually give examples how we made it with our partner schools, because I also work in academic high school here in Krakow. I need to say that at the very beginning, it was not easy to go online. First of all, to find a proper platform, but also to understand, okay, that there are also some rules. There's also an etiquette when you are online. Before, we didn't, understand that, how it works. To put the capital letters, okay, it means that we are shouting at someone, okay, so that was not known. Of course, the new generation knows a lot. They are good at clicking, I know this. But at the same time, okay, I think that frame a little bit is also needed and required. I would like to say that, first of all, when it comes to technology, I had the pleasure to visit a magnet school in Pompano Beach High School, so I could see how internationally and globally this school has grown with technology and with the support. So thank you, Mr. Thomas, for that. I have had a great honor to be in Navrachana International School, and I could see how you are managing the boarding school. And recently with the WorldLINK Foundation, we also organized a big event, Hyper Innovation in IBDP Education, so the platform for teachers. And last but not least, we have just recently did something beyond actually the country's borders with Delhi Public School. So tomorrow we are having a great festival because we are organizing a virtual art exhibition, and our students have been working for 2 weeks, and amazingly they did everything together with a little push from the teacher's side, and technology is helping. But as all your principals also said, without the human touch we cannot actually be too successful. Just to finish that part, I want to say that recently I discovered something interesting. as you, as the educational leaders, you know that OECD countries, they have, this is called the program for international student assessment organized by OECD countries. It's called PISA. And they postpone actually the assessment from 2021 to post-COVID scenario. But what happens is that, first of all, they were focusing on mathematics, and they just released actually a new framework for that. But now they are changing a little bit, because the first somehow focus will be on mathematics and creative thinking. And in 2025, they are making a change. They are looking at a new assessment of foreign languages. They are going to also look at the innovation, the innovative domain of learning in the digital world. So they would like to see and measure students' ability to engage in self-regulating learning while using digital tools. So that is very interesting, that we are making a change very, very fast. Never before have we had such a chance.
Yes. That is true. It is definitely a quick change. 4 days, you know, in India as well. Patrick, I think you probably are a great person to look at how we can support people during this time, because you're actually doing this for so many groups in different places, both professional realms and educational realms. What advice can you give us on how to help the mental health aspect? I have a teacher friend who said before she assigns anything, she has to consider how it will affect the student's mental health. But we also know we're supporting teachers too.
Well, it helps to slow things down sometimes and just bring our attention back to our breath, definitely. It's a world right now where it's, even before COVID and when we were still having face-to-face workshops and education and classrooms, it's been getting more and more difficult for people to pay attention. Now we're in the virtual world, and it's even harder to keep people's attention, keep our students' attention, because we don't know when the cameras are off what they're doing. If we saw them, we could at least say something, walk up closer to them, speak more louder, etc. We don't have that luxury to the same extent as we did before. So I agree with what all the educators are saying, you know, to leverage the tools. What I like to do is also use breakout rooms. So if you have a large classroom, you could break them out into smaller, get them more interactions, and you could hop in as an educator and say, okay, what's going on? Can I support with something? Hop out and go to the next one. I think virtual whiteboards are also something nice to use, like Mural or Miro, where you can do the same thing as a physical whiteboard, but you do it digitally, and everyone's collaborating and working together, and you could keep people's attention. So when it comes to that attention, you really have to speak not just from your mind, but you also have to speak from the heart. You also have to speak from the gut or your instinct. And there's a lot of things that you need to be aware of when it comes to neurodiversity. And I think that's one of the biggest trends that's going to be happening, is how to leverage everybody's skill set across the whole spectrum. Because everyone, especially with the advancements in technology, can contribute. And that contribution can make everyone and humanity a lot better. So, thank you for the question.
Mm-hmm. If I might just add, I want to say that Patrick was conducting the workshop for over 100 students in our school last Wednesday, and they actually wanted to have more and more sessions. They were wondering, right, how to pay more attention, how to calm down. And this is interesting, you know, research as well for us as educators, that probably in India, right, you are familiar with the techniques, how to breathe, how to do yoga, how to calm down, etc. So that's for you something natural, right? You are taught from the very beginning. For us, unfortunately, okay, it becomes as a kind of innovative part of our curriculum, hopefully, So that is there as well. So thank you, Patrick, for that.
And I think, Patrick, too, you also mentioned something that is a tool we can use. I know that many educators have said that they are concerned about the student-to-student learning being sacrificed during this moment, and that the teachers have worked so hard to build a connection between the teacher and the student. But as you mentioned, there are some platforms that allow you to do breakout sessions, and that's one way where they can continue in a smaller group, learning about the subject matter and connecting with each other. And I just wonder if the group as a whole maybe also has some other things that might help educators listening about techniques or strategies their teachers or their educators are using in order to foster that student-to-student connection, so that people are not at home feeling isolated as they're working on their lessons. And that's for anyone.
Yeah. So can I say something?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I like what Patrick said. In fact, this whole idea of the breakout room. In fact, we have tried the breakout rooms even for the little kids. And it's amazing, how they can get into these little rooms, and it has great academic value. Even if they are plain and simple, just socializing, it has immense academic value, because when they were in the classroom, they would have that opportunity to discuss with their friends if they are low. They would have that opportunity to discuss with their friends immediately if they were having some difficulty with with a subject like mathematics. So these breakout rooms for the little ones and for the senior ones, make great sense. But another thing that I've also realized one thing in the course of these 8 months, that it is, we human beings are social animals. And what has taken, the most beating is the social dimension part of within this learning process, within the virtual platform. We've been able to optimize, the academic aspect, but the social aspect has actually taken a beating. Most of us adults have the opportunity to actually, go to our workplaces to get busy with, we do things. Some of us actually go to our workplaces, but most of our children are holed up at home. They haven't had a chance to actually move out of their houses. And the smaller ones more so. Maybe the bigger ones can get away with, getting their parents to let them go out, etc. So I think this aspect is very important. What we also tried was, and I don't know, Mrs. Misra may also be looking at something like this. We have looked at, having mindfulness sessions, heartfulness sessions in the class. So we actually begin the morning with a little meditation. Nothing much. In fact, sometimes our children conduct the meditation. They pick up something from the net and they play some very light music and give a little, set the tone for the day. So that is one thing that we do. We also have the opportunity of getting resource people more easily than we would have got them before now, because it's online. So we have a group of people, the Heartfulness group, that actually comes and conducts sessions for our students during the day. The government itself, has got in touch with Swami Vivekanand, an organization under that aegis, and we have the Awakened Citizenship Program, and that facilitates a lot of value building, etc., for students. And because what I've noticed is we have ensured that learning is not interrupted. That was our first stage. That was our priority. When the pandemic struck us, that learning should continue. Then we moved on to ensure that it became effective. Because in the beginning, we tried a lot of things. We had to make sure it became effective. While that goal still continues, we have to now move on to another stage where we are actually talking about social and emotional learning for our children. And that's the key just now. So there are a lot of things that are happening. I'm sure others would add to this. Thank you.
May
Wonderful.
I share?
Absolutely. Please.
So adding to what Mrs. D'Souza said, yes, we always begin with some pranayam, some meditation, some casual chat, because like in a classroom, children talk about what did you do yesterday? Oh, I went out, I had a pizza, we went for a movie, we had a party. So the first 5 minutes before you plunge into the physics, chemistry, history, geography, we have that little chat with the teacher or with the smaller group of children. I mean, that's very important to create the idea of a physical classroom. The other thing I did, which I thought would help, was I got in a lot of my alumni to talk to the children, because the alumni group is deeply entrenched in the school philosophy, in the school vision, the school mission, and they're now grown up, and this pandemic has given them a little breathing time, that they're all working from home. So early morning, before they began their work, a lot of them would come in for an hour and sit for half an hour with senior classes or with middle school classes, and generally have a chat, because I have started believing more and more that all learning need not happen through textbooks and through the curriculum. Learning is free flowing, learning is very fluid, and you may choose to learn a variety of things through a variety of ways. So a lot of innovative practices have happened, as a way to tell the children to also help in the house, because as you know, in India, there is a lot of otherwise domestic help available. So getting children to work with their hands and help their parents and learn through that, making a salad, for example, a lot of science comes into that, a lot of maths comes into that, and you've helped the mom in the process. Then we also have a peer education, a peer awareness session, where the peers go into breakout sessions or to juniors to ask if they are facing any problem, because let us admit it, that this is a very unusual year for us. It has been, like Mr. D'Souza said, very difficult for the children who have been holed up inside. They have not been able to be as physically active. So we found ways to do that, sending in not just yoga videos, but videos of dance. And if the entire class is dancing together, and then the dance teacher puts it all together and presents it to the parent group. We've been doing that every second month, music and dance and art, making collages, montages of dance, so that the element of fun stays with the children. And I think integration of art into the curriculum, whether it's theater, whether it's visual art or dance or music, really enhances the teaching learning process. So all that, I think, has brought in not just fun, but made it a little more fun and a little less stressful, because I was very worried about the stress levels of the children as the pandemic continued and as the lockdown sort of went on. And as you all know, the NCR is still very deeply affected. The largest numbers are there, because possibly density of population, possibly the fact that people have gone back to work. So while we're telling them stay at home, we're telling them don't be bored. Mindful techniques to be grateful for what you have, creating gratitude jars, doing something for each other within the house, just being kinder to each other instead of snapping. Just be grateful for what you have, and don't count on what you don't have and what you can't do. Think of what you can do. A little shift in a thought process for all of us, I think. Thank you.
I definitely agree. Plus, we are using this, that we live in the VUCA world, right? So it's very, very complex, ambiguous. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I would like to share what we try to do with the students to get that touch. With the WorldLINK Foundation, we created the program, A Global Student on Hammock. So I am always jealous of some partner schools when they have people, professionals actually who come to the students and they share the knowledge and experience. We created a program during summertime. So once actually that was, let me think, there were 4 Mondays. 4 Mondays, and each Monday they actually met 2 short sessions. One was also with Patrick. One was with professional who was talking about design thinking. The other one was doing the motivational techniques for the students. The next one was talking about technical support, but the one that is going to be effective in learning. So that was very, very crucial. And I can see on the basis of my daughter as well, how much time they spend in front of the computer. They do not feel even the need to go outside. So that is very, very sad. Even if they actually live in a detached house, even if they have a little garden, they are not having that need. I remember from my childhood that we actually spend most of our time outside. So that's a really, really good pity. And I think that it's so important now to appreciate even the teachers of PE classes, of yoga classes, to see how much actually responsibilities right now is in their hands, and to encourage them to do even more and more in our schools or even in our communities. So that's important, I think.
And I think that this was a topic that really our audience was responding to. They're concerned about how to build communities outside of the classroom or within the classroom. And you answered their questions beautifully, how to give a sense of belonging. There was one question that just came in that was about that sometimes the students, there are some students who actually find peace at school because home is a very difficult place. And so this person articulated that by saying sometimes children find hell instead of home. Regular school could help them recognize the problem, or at least give a shelter for a few hours a day. How to support those children now?
So one of the things that we have here at Pompano is a whole school counseling department, and the district also put in place professionals that support students with all sorts of issues, and it kind of funnels into the school through our school counseling department, where if the teacher hears something, other students hear things, and we get the information and provide the support. One of the really important programs we have here is a mentoring program for ninth graders, particularly because they're coming in from middle school, if you understand our system, and into a new environment. So we provide them with a peer that will support them. So every ninth grader will have a mentor from an upper grade to help them through the process. And if they're having issues, they have someone to talk to. And in this particular time, we had a meeting yesterday with a group of students, and they were talking about how being able to get together. I know we mentioned breakout rooms, being in the small groups, how they can build relationships in that manner as well. Mm-hmm. So the other thing I want to mention is the fact that our district has put together, again, this whole mindfulness part of COVID, right? The first 10 minutes of every class, it's up to the teacher, but where first 10 minutes is about mindfulness and not as you said, going into the physics and chemistry and all those other things. Take that time to kind of talk about what's going on, and you find a lot from that small amount of time what students are dealing with. It's definitely a hard time for everyone. The last thing I'll mention is that we really spend a lot of time communicating with our teachers, and if we don't take care of them, there's no way they can take care of the kids. We don't make an assumption that everybody has an issue with COVID. We know they do. We don't know what they're dealing with. So we are very sensitive to our teachers. They have families, and some have had deaths and other issues, right? So we take that into account to support them in any way, and being very accommodating to their needs as well. And that will then translate in how they treat the students.
Absolutely. Very good. I think you wrapped up a lot of issues in one package there, Mr. Thomas. And I'm hearing so many patterns. I think Patrick would be proud of this group. You have 3 schools that are starting out with mindfulness every day. So that's wonderful, or some element of it. That's wonderful. Mr. Thomas, do want to, I think this question, you're doing something that's interesting. So many people are using the platforms, Zoom, and we're hearing, come to this professional development. It's not another Zoom meeting, but you're actually you're continuing to hold your international education program. And I hear that you are making it authentic and including some of the activities that you've done in the past that most of the time people would say, oh, we can't do that.
Right.
It happened. So can you describe that a little bit?
Sure. So over the past, I don't know how many years, we've been holding an international summit with countries from around the world, and Poland certainly has been one of our key partners in this endeavor. And when the pandemic hit last March, as a matter of fact, we had a trip going to Poland that very week, and we weren't able to. And this is something we do every other year, and it's been such a tremendous experience for our students and our partners to have the opportunity to build relationships. It's been mostly about building relationships, and we have students from 2012 that still have friends from those experiences. So the fact that we know that it could not happen this in 2021, we decided to do a virtual summit, but not on Zoom or having everybody together. And part of the summit has always been about families getting together. So we are duplicating everything that we would do in a regular summit, but do it online with families, having our families, bringing families from around the world, 16 countries, I think 18 schools, to into their homes and see what life is like in the United States, what the education is like in our school, and be able to interact with students on a one-to-one or on a group basis that's not 100 or 200 type that we would normally have. So it is a unique experience when the end goal is to build relationships and have students have experience from other countries, not just learning about the US. We'll get a chance to learn what's going on in those schools as well. So it's an experience for us to see how things work in other countries. And it's also the same for the other students. So we're excited about putting that together. And Anna is a key to its success. So we're holding her accountable.
That's great. That's wonderful. Well, I know that we are not going to have that much time left, and I thought that as a group of experts, you may actually want to ask each other some questions. Is there anything that you've done that you maybe feel like you're out of energy on that thing, or you just would like to hear how someone else is handling a challenge? And it doesn't mean you don't know about it, but just, yeah, Patrick, get us started. What would you like to ask?
I wanted to hear from you all. How do you manage cameras on, cameras off?
That's a good one. That's a very good one. So I can just take this on. Up to this point, it's been optional. And we have a group of students we bring together maybe once a month to talk about how things are going. And engagement has been the key issue. And I'm sure it's the same everywhere. Getting kids engaged. I did simple analysis of engagement last year prior to COVID. And now with COVID, I've seen numbers coming from 95% engagement to 30% engagement. And one of the issues we feel like is not having the cameras on. But 2 days ago, our district has passed a policy, you could say, that every student will have their cameras on, and not just for attendance, but for instruction. And it's a process, of course, to implement, but I feel like having the cameras on, it's an important part of really getting student engaged. And our leaders, student leaders we were talking to yesterday, pretty much all were saying it's so much better having the cameras on. So it's going to be a process, but I feel the need for cameras to be on is extremely important.
Yes.
Misra, Miss Misra?
Yeah. So I have a feeling that, if students know that there is something which is good for them, they will get into it. I don't think we can force children to do anything. To put on a camera, they'll say it's not working. They could be in their night suits. So right at the start, I think we made certain essential agreements that we will not have classes from 7:30 in the morning like they could do in normal physical classes. We had an essential agreement that the class will start at 9. And therefore, you may not be in uniform, but you will not be in your night suit either. And you will have your camera on. Now, in India, what was happening was that the bandwidth was getting affected. If the cameras of 30 children are on, it would affect the voice quality, it would affect the video which was being played, the audio which was being played. So we kept their videos off, but they knew that any 5, 6, 7 children would be called upon to participate or to interact with the teacher. And since many of us also participate in the class, I go into at least 12 to 15 classes every day. I think it's for comic relief. I'm not sure how amused everybody else is, but I do go in and I do try and break the the monotony of the class, and I start something else, a question which could be in the children's mind, because I actually know nothing of physics and chemistry. So I ask a question which could be very basic, and it sort of breaks the ice. So I think that's how we've managed to keep everybody alert, and yet not cameras on. Because I began March and I repeated this in July, and I will repeat it again now, that I have to build the trust. You are here in school for a purpose. And if learning is going to help you in some way, you have to help us help you. I don't think it's absolutely counterproductive if the children are sitting in their homes with the cameras off and actually sleeping or goofing off, because they know there would be an assessment at some time. They may be called upon to answer a question, and nobody wants to look bad at that time. But unfortunately, the numbers, the attendance has been pretty much steady from March till now. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that it stays that way, because there have been issues of people not being well. And if the parents are unwell, then I can't expect the child to put on the camera and attend a class. They're stressed out. They don't know what to do. So that support has also been going out in all the homes that have been unwell or have been affected by COVID. The teacher has a class for the children separately on a Saturday or whenever the child is free. It's almost on demand, So I think we need to build, like I said, we have to build a culture of kindness and understanding, so that everything happens without actually enforcing it in a sense, if you know what I mean.
I would like to add that there is also the question about the leadership. This is what I tell to the students, okay? What kind of leader do you want to be? Do you want to set a good example for others and also feel good with yourself? That's the reason I think that there is a good question to Patrick, and maybe to tell, on one hand, teachers, but also the students, why is it so important to have a habit that I wake up in the morning, right? I eat breakfast, I get ready, maybe not going out, but get ready for school, for classes. I do respect also the teachers who, all the time we are online, and we wouldn't like to see only the boxes, right? We would like to talk to people and to see the emotions. So that is my question to you, Patrick. How, because you have built a really great trust with the young people, so maybe hearing you, they will follow also certain, pattern.
How's that wise quote say? If you lead, I may not follow. If you follow, or if I follow, I may not lead. Just walk beside me and be my friend. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think going back to what Ms. Aditi Misar is saying is, you have to build trust and you have to be authentic, and we have to be mindful of the fact that we've heard it so many times. You are what you practice. You do it enough, you become good at it. But you're practicing all the time. All the time you're practicing. All the time you're building new neurological connections and forming new habits. So as a leader, how you present yourself day by day is the leader you're going to be. And now in this digital world where we've transitioned so fast from here to here, we as educators, as leaders, need to set the example. So if you're sitting in front of the computer for 12 hours per day educating, then the people are going to see, oh, well, I could sit in front of the computer for 12 hours a day as well. That's why, creating a habit of, okay, we're going to take a break and we're going to move around. We're going to do this call actually outside today, depending on lockdown situations and all that. But setting that example and really keeping all the things that we talked about today in mind, our mental well-being, our physical well-being, our emotional well-being, and how we can leverage the tools, the virtual tools, and actually do it ourselves, right? Actually use those tools, use those things that we're asking our students to do.
Thank you, Patrick. I think that was a really nice way to sort of make us feel a sense of peace, because I know that this has been a difficult time. And I think even though the most recent research on resilience, and that's a term that we throw around, pretty easily, the most recent research on it is so encouraging that it's a common trait. It's not just a few extraordinary people who can have it. We all can have it. But we're in the place, it's resilience is the bouncing back, or even bouncing back better than you were before after adversity. But we are in the bending moment. We're not in the place where we've bounced back yet. So we are helping each other. And I think all of these things that you all are doing as educational leaders to support your students, to support the people in professional realm that need mindfulness, and to support student and children and teachers. These are the things that sort of allow the bending without breaking. And we will become, and our students and our teachers will become people of character, people who can face adversity without maybe as much fear as we may have had when this pandemic first started. We'll know that we can handle these things, and that if we work together and we share ideas, maybe we can even be inspired by some of the things that each of your schools and each of the areas where you are working with people, the things that people are doing to meet the challenge and maybe even rise above it. And my prayer is for your countries to be whole, and your all of the people in your communities to be well. I'm very grateful that you came this morning and shared your expertise. I think anyone listening to hear how much love and care you have for your jobs. And it is a pleasure to listen to you and to be with you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All the best. Be safe.
Thank you.
Take
Take
care.
care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Thank you, Anna, and thank you, WorldLINK, for the opportunity. Thank you. And thank you, Alison.
Good to talk with you, Mr. D'Souza.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us.
And nice meeting all of you, Mr. Thomas,
Yes. So nice
Ms. Misra, and Patrick. I think I saw you. I saw you at one of the first WorldLINK webinars. Yeah.
Good.
Thank
Great.
you.